Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Jackass Retro. My name is Matt, and today we have the next installment of our Postcards 101 series. The reason I started doing these are for people who are just sort of getting started in postcards, give you enough information, knowledge to be dangerous and actually get started listing and selling postcards online and on eBay. Little caveat on this one, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Everyone's going to do things a little bit differently. This is how I have been doing this now for the past, about year. What we're going to talk about is formatting and specifics, titles, keywords, basically the mechanics of getting your postcard listed. I'm going to go over how I do it, some tips hopefully that you can use, and hopefully you learn something new. If this is content that you enjoy, please make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel for future installments in this series, as well as my weekly What Sold videos and daily packing videos. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So we're going to be doing this hands-on. We're going to just start here. This is the postcard that we are going to be listing today. This is the bridge across the Yellowstone River at Glendive, Montana, the largest and longest being 1,750 feet. Now, you may just be inclined to use that title for your title. I would encourage you not to do that because there's a lot of other information that your customers might want to know. That we want to make sure that we're including in the listing to grab their attention. Now, the next thing you probably want to know is that, remember that people nowadays are shopping often with their phones. And depending on the phone that they have, they may or may not see the entirety of the title that you enter. On this particular screenshot, we do see the entire title, but the phone I had previously actually cut off several of the other last words on this. So you might only see, the first 100 or so characters or 50 or so characters, depending on the phone and depending on how your buyers are choosing to shop. Keep in mind as well, the clientele in a lot of cases for postcards is going to be a little bit older. They might not be the ones who have the newest, shiniest, flashiest phone. The ones with the biggest screens, the one that are going to have the most screen space to show titles. So just keep that in mind. You will be talking about why here just shortly. So a couple of things to think about. When you're titling your postcards, no punctuation. And I would say that this is true pretty much for all listings. Punctuation is essentially the waste of a character. It doesn't help you in the search. It doesn't help anyone find your listing. Your listings do not have to be grammatically correct. I'm going to repeat that. Your listings do not need to be grammatically correct. Now, that being said, they do still have to make sense. You're going to make sure that you remove from your vocabulary the words the, and, with, is, and similar words to that. Remove them from your vocabulary when you are titling your postcards. They do not help you in search. They do not help you with anything. They're a waste of characters. If you have to use the word with, use W. Pretty universally accepted on eBay. W means with. So if you absolutely have to, go ahead and use W, but avoid and, avoid with, avoid is when at all possible. So let's talk about our title first. So get down here. We'll scroll up to here. Now, this is the order of how I structure my titles. It's pretty straightforward. If it is a real photo postcard, I will put RPPC first. If it is not, I'll of course not put that. RPPC, or real photo postcard, is pretty much universally So, if somebody's looking for real photo postcards, they're going to want to see this first. So if they're searching for a city or a state or some other subject, RPPC is what you're going to want to put. I put it first, and it's the only time I break from the format moving forward. This postcard is not a real photo postcard, so I will not be putting that here. Next, you want to have the subject or whatever the main focus of the postcard is. So in this case, it's the bridge across Yellowstone River. So if this bridge has a name, which they sometimes do, I might call it the Glendive Bridge or the Yellowstone Bridge, whatever that bridge name might be. I could research that now, but for now, we're just going to choose the bridge over Now, important as well, don't do all caps. That's another common mistake. People use all caps to try to bring attention to their listings. Honestly, that doesn't work. Just write it like normal words. It's pretty well proven caps do not work. So avoid that whenever you can. I know that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people really like to use all caps to, with the idea that their item is going to stand out somehow. That is not actually the case. All right, so we've got the subject here in our title. What's going to come next? Well, we know that this is in Glendive, Montana. So the next thing we're going to do is our city and state. If I have room, I will always put the abbreviation for the state as well. So we'll just take this out here. And then the abbreviation for the state. Now, why do we do both of this? Well, believe it or not, the search will sometimes search primarily or bring the best results for somebody who types in the full state of Montana, if that's what they searched for, or the abbreviation, if that's what they searched for. I want to make sure I come up no matter how that is searched for. So I put Glendive, full state name, state abbreviation. Now, the next two things are somewhat optional, I would say, which is the year. And usually that's going to be, I'm basing it on a postmark, right? 1905. It's usually if it's posted or unposted, I'll put a year, or posted, I'll put a year. So in this particular case, it is posted. It's a pretty early year. So in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and put 1905. It is not unposted. If it is unposted, there are people who search for unposted postcards. They look, same way as a sports card collector would look for a really good, crisp, nice copy of a particular postcard. So in this case, it's not unposted. I will not include this. And perfectly acceptable for the abbreviation UNP to be used in your title rather than the full word unposted. It also saves in characters as well. Next, divided back. Now you can use abbreviations on this as well. If it's a linen postcard, I just type out linen. If it's divided back, I'll say DB. If it's undivided back, I'll say UDB. If it's a white border, I'll say WB. If it's a chrome, I'll just spell out chrome. In this case, it is an undivided back postcard, so I'm going to put UDB. Now, the last word that I put in here, the last word is postcard. A lot of people, and you'll see listings, and if we go back to our screenshot here, you'll see we have bridge over, we have somebody who has got the state first. If we scroll down here, I guarantee you there's going to be somebody who says postcard first. In fact, we could probably take a look at that right now. search for Glendive Bridge. So here's the one I recently listed. Here we have Glendive, Montana. We've got the state first. Vintage, you don't need this word. They know it's a vintage postcard. Don't put vintage in your postcard titles. It does nothing for you. Vintage postcard doesn't do anything. RPPC Glendive. So here we go. RPPC right at the front, doing good. Again, Montana, Glendive. They're putting the lesser important information to the left. You want your most important information to the left, which is your subject. The subject isn't Glendive, Montana. The subject is the bridge. And look how far. It's way over here, Yellowstone River Bridge. And they put RPPC at the end. Scrolling down, Glendive, Montana, Glendive, Montana. See a few of these. I don't see anyone who actually put postcard as the first word, which is unusual. But here's vintage postcard. Vintage postcard of your first two words, you're eating up your real estate. You're going to want to put your subject first. And again, just follow that basic structure. Subject first, bridge over Yellowstone River. That's what we're looking at, right? This is our image. It's the bridge over Yellowstone River. Then we have our location, year and era. Oh, year and era. This one's not unposted, so we'll take that out. Postcard. Now, if we've got room, we can put our other additional keywords here. So, I might do a Google search for this. This person looks like they called it a steel bridge. So we've got a few extra characters. That might be a good one to put in. Let's see what else. Glendive, Yellowstone, MRV Railroad Bridge. That could be, railroad is a really good keyword to put in. So let's go ahead and actually go back and we'll put in here Railroad Bridge over Yellowstone River. We've only got 3 characters left. We're not really wasting anything here. So that's a pretty good title. Now what I'll do is I'll take the title. I'm going to just highlight it there. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to bring it all the way down to my description. And we're going to go ahead and just paste it right there, right at the top. We'll go back up here and we'll talk about as well our image. Now, one thing you can do, and you can do this to your listings that are already active. Just go ahead. You can right click on an image if you haven't, if it's already been uploaded and listed. And we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to save this one as bridge. Come back out here. I'm going to then upload the image again. We'll take these out of here because we're not really using these. Now, when you're doing a search, you can see here, back at our listings, all these listed here. Pretty straightforward, right? Notice how this image right here is a little bit bigger than the rest of them. It takes up a little bit more real estate on the search page. While the rest of these all basically are, look the same. You're looking at the same images over and over and over again. Now, in some cases, and I wouldn't say on any of them, but in some cases, it might be a good idea to do what is more commonly known as a zoom in. And what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and take this image here, and we're going to make as square of an image as we possibly can and focus it as much as possible on whatever is going to look best and be most eye-catching. We can get a little bit wider if we need to. There we go. There we are. We'll move that to our first image. This isn't the most striking of cover images, but it does give us some more real estate on the search page. So the idea is you're going to get more eyes on your listing. You're going to get more people to click through onto the listing. On some images, you're going to have a lot easier time choosing what to focus in on. And again, you're not going to want to do this on, like, say, a large letter greeting postcard or something that really takes up the full space of the postcard. In this one, because we've got a lot, some negative space here down below, again, not the most glamorous of images, but we can see even just in this, we're taking up the full box here, or almost the full box, rather than just a small portion of it. And this is going to come through on the search page as well. Now, moving down here, we're going to talk about item specifics. Now, item specifics are something that I think actually are important. It's certainly up for debate. Many postcard sellers do this differently, depending on who they are. A lot of these are not required. However, eBay has a history of eventually making required what they recommend now. So in this case, what I would say is, make sure you at least get your city and state in here and your region. If it's a topographical postcard, if it's a holiday postcard, you want to fill that out. My recommendation is to fill out as many item specifics as you can. So in this one, we'll say the subject is the bridge. I could also put in Glendive Bridge or Railroad Bridge. It's not a monument. It is a bridge, and you can click on a lot of these and just pick whatever is appropriate on your particular postcard. Now, the themes are searchable, and you can put in as many as you want. So let's say we wanted to use that keyword the other person used that didn't fit. So we'll say steel bridge. Let's say, Yellowstone. What if we want to put in river? Now, you don't have to do a ton of these. I would say, you'll get a feel for what's going to be most appropriate. And you can really put in as many as you want to show up in as much search as you want. But make sure it's, you're putting in ones that are appropriate to your card. I always put in United States. I don't believe that anybody is searching for the country or region of manufacture. This is probably actually made in Germany, I'm going to guess. Let's take a look. Published, made in Germany. So I never even changed this. I don't think anyone's searching for it. Maybe I'm wrong. If you want to change it to the correct, you can. Just another thing to look at. Unit of sale, single unit. You pretty much always want to do single unit unless you're selling a lot. Unless it's a real photo, you want to put printed lithograph. And if it's posted or unposted, this one's obviously posted. You'll want to put the era. This one's obviously undivided back. Now, this is a little tricky. So sometimes if you click on era, you will get this World War II pre-war, and that's if you click on the arrow. If you click again in the field a second time, you'll get this. Now, it doesn't work on every listing, I've noticed. And it really has to do with whether or not you're selling similar off one of your listings that already has this populated, I think. Really not sure why it shows up sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. But I've noticed in a lot of cases, depending on where you click, it's going to populate this field differently. You can also, if you need to, it doesn't matter where you clicked. If you just put the first couple of letters in of what era you want to have it, it'll populate. You can just click it. Original or licensed reprint, kind of weird. There are reproduction postcards, and I assume that this is asking you if this is original or reproduction. So I always say original. These additional are not really necessary. I kind of ignore these in most cases. It will auto-populate some of this stuff sometimes. If you click accept all up at the top here, accept all, it will sometimes have some stuff populated here. The subject on this one is not Yellowstone, so you got to be careful when you see this accept all thing in the recommended item specifics. I'd say at least half of them are wrong. Most of this other stuff you can ignore. Now, if you are selling similar, some of these bottom ones may sometimes be populated. So circulated, nobody really uses this. This is not Boulder, Colorado. I'd remove that. Circulated, yes. Yeah, we'll remove Colorado. Pretty much all the cards are going to be standard size unless you're listing a Continental. So there's your item specifics. I would say if you're going to put effort into these, stick to this top section up here. If you're doing a non-topographical postcard, like a holiday postcard or an artist signed postcard, you may want to come down here and fill in some other items. But the main ones really are in this section here when you're listing. Talking about your condition. Here's a boilerplate. You can pause the video here and write this down and put it in a draft, put it in a template. This is all you need. And I got this from Popeye's Postcards, and I pretty much have used it in just about every postcard listings I have. I have added one thing, which is this. I use a scanner. So I have added, please see DPI scans for full condition description. There you go. So then in my template, I won't have to do this, but we just want to make sure that this condition is then reiterated a second time down in your description down here. You can see it's already there. You can copy and paste it if you need to. And then down here, I just have my normal, thank you for shopping, Mr. Customer, yada, yada, yada. We've already done our price research. We know where we're pricing this one at. If you want to learn about how to price your postcards, you can see the previous video in the series. And then the rest of your return policy. I use eBay standard envelope for anything under 20 bucks. So there we go. You may choose to use first class or stamped envelope, depending on how you want to do it. And then there we have it. I already have this postcard listed, so the only other thing left for me to do would be to click list. I'm not going to do that since my card is already listed. And there we have it. So that is my process for listing postcards. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different if you're doing a non-topographical postcard, one that's not based on a particular location. You're going to have a few different item specifics, but in general, the titling, subject line, condition, and item specifics that you're putting in are pretty much all going to be the same. It is helpful to sell similar off of your own listing of as similar a postcard as you can find to the one you're working on. Reason being is if you do that, you've already put in this work on a listing, then that work is already done for you when you sell similar on your own listing. I would avoid selling similar off of somebody else's listing. Avoid borrowing titles, all of that. And it seems like a lot of work now, but the more and more you do this, it just becomes second nature. And if you're working on your postcards in bundles or in batches where you're doing, say, 50 Montana postcards at a time and you're just selling similar off your previous listings, man, you can get through 20, 30, 50 postcards in no time at all. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have questions or ideas for other videos you'd like to see in this series, please leave those down in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.